What's up, everybody? We wanted to take a quick moment to remind each of you to please like, share, comment, subscribe to the podcast. Tommy,
Ring that bell.
ring the bell. It goes a long way to support the podcast. Besides that, Tommy and I offer online coaching. The links for that will be below. The link for my merch store will be below as well. And without further ado, we bring to you a Thinking Man's podcast. A Thinking Man's podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of a Thinking Man's podcast. I'm your host, and my name is Joseph PIRCHER. Alongside me, as always, my good friend Tommy Stiles, checking in from the West Coast. Tommy, how are you, man?
Good. Like we were just talking about, man, it's cold out here. Fuck.
Yeah.
It's nice in the day, but once that sun sets, dude, I was telling you, it's like getting into the 40s at night.
Yeah, unheard of out there, and fucking freezing here in New Jersey as expected. So
I realize we're getting older because we talk about the weather.
The weather, I know, fuck. That we're talking about the weather and like how our joints feel and shit. It's like, fuck, man. Where's the ice?
How you feeling?
Where's the icy hot at? Yeah. All right, guys. So episode 32. Last week we had Skip Hill on, and if you guys haven't checked that episode out, do so now or after this one. But so episode 32, Tommy and I, being that we are both full-time coaches and helping a good amount of people, we're going to discuss the different aspects of what makes a good client and how to facilitate or foster a really efficient coach-client dynamic. So I know, Tommy, you came prepared with some thoughts, and so I'll kick it over to you to get us started, and then we'll let it rock from there.
Yeah, outside of the obvious, doing what you're told to do. I have actually, like, part of my onboarding process, I have a email I send out, like a welcome email to all new clients, and I let them know what my expectations are of them as a client and what their expectations are of me as a coach. Like, this is what the standard I hold myself to, but this is also the standard I hold you to.
Right.
It's a professional relationship. This is you're paying for a service and I'm providing a service. As much as it is, there's human interaction. Like, I care about you. I care about, your goals, what's going on in your life, etc. But at the end of the day, like, we are crossing paths because of, like, you want something from me and I want to get a result for you, both for the income, because this is how I make my income, but also to, build my brand. Like, I want your testimonial. I want your success. So I think sometimes that gets lost when, we talk about being coaches. I think, oh yeah, I'll help you out. I'm going to help. I want to lead you to the path of success, but also, like, I really fucking want you to do well for a selfish reason too. Like, this isn't just like, I'm a nice guy who wants to help as many people as I can. Like, yeah, that's part of it, but this is my living. So when, like, I was talking to you to do this podcast or do this specific episode, it was, the update form is pivotal. Communication and online coaching is paramount for success. We've talked about that in numerous episodes. Most of the people we work with, we have never met, and we may never meet, face to face in real life, in the human flesh. So our communication, whether it's through voice memos, emails, WhatsApp messages, voice, looms, whatever we're using to communicate with people is paramount to success. So as a client, the update form gives me a snapshot into how things are actually going. Now, there's a pendulum. You can give way too little information and you can give way too much. And we'll try to highlight all that on this episode and not get too rant specific, but I'll use mine as kind of a base, and then you
don't start making any promises here. Speak for yourself, buddy.
I'm not going to say I'm not gonna go off the cuff a little bit, but I'm going to try to make it constructive. So, we'll kind of use our update forms as a base of how to fill them out and, like, what we're looking for. So if any of my clients watching or listening, you kind of have an idea, and then any prospective clients, or, like, I would say our update forms are probably pretty similar to what most coaches are using. You know, there might be some details missing, some extra things included, whatever. So if you're listening and you want to like how to get more out of your investment in a coach, you know, that being a good client and being an efficient client with the information you're providing is step one.
Yeah.
So obviously, you know, current weight, previous weight. I have some of my prep clients I do week or daily weight tracking with. I don't use spreadsheets, but you know, the current weight and previous weight is pretty easy. You know, fill it out. I have a hard time finding empathy for making errors on the update form. Like everyone I work with has graduated high school. I think I have one high school client, but still, like it's pretty basic. Like
Everybody knows how to speak English.
Yeah, this form should be filled out with without errors. And that if you're struggling with that part of it, that's step one. Like, don't make errors. I shouldn't be able to catch that you forgot to change your weight from the previous week and that you fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, so current weight, current fasted weight, previous fasted weight, get that right. And then I have my clients tell me their current cardio. I know it, I can always find it, but it's just like, I think it says something about a client who can report these things because it tells me they're doing it.
Exactly.
I can tell you pretty much my whole plan off the top of my head. I might not know every single facet of the meal plan. There might be some grams of green beans that I don't remember without looking at it. But, you know, if you're constantly having to, you know, I think there's something about how something pertains to memory if you are saying it or writing it. So if you're constantly saying like, oh yeah, this is my cardio for the week, I think it just shows me as a coach, like I believe you're doing it. If you're able to like tell me, oh yeah, I had 5 sessions of 20 minutes on the stair mill, heart rate around 120. To me, that's I trust that client because there is a trust component. You know, you trust the coach to lead you on the path of success, and a coach has to trust the client is doing the work. So I ask for current cardio. Before I get too far into it, is there anything that you want to add on?
No, you roll, and I'll just pick
All right.
off what you have to say.
And then this is the big one. This is the one where I might rant. Is I ask for list any changes to nutrition, cardio, or supplementation. That's not because I don't know what changes I made. That's because like I have a full roster of people. And if you put what changes I made right in front of me on that update, that makes me more efficient at my job. I can't tell you how many times I've had to go back through updates and look like, all right, what did I say back to this client? What changes did I make? Did I add more cardio? Did I pull food? That's where like it all ties in together, not making errors on the update form, making sure you're copying and pasting what's current into this current week's update form. I really, that's the one thing on the update form that I want to be done is list any changes I made. Again, it shows that you're connected to the plan, you're in tune, you see the changes happening. But it allows me to be more efficient at my job, which as a client, and I work with a coach too, you want your coach to be efficient. You want them to not.
Right. You're going to hear back sooner if you make my job easier.
And you're likely like human error is a thing. Like coaches are still humans. You're going to give them an opportunity to less likely to make an error when you give them a perfect update form with everything in front of them without them having to come to you and ask questions like, hey, what was this? What was this? What was this? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Like, don't give them a reason to have to email you to correct or to ask if you're doing things. So that one really, that one's personal to me. Like, list any changes I made. Obviously, I know it's not that I don't fucking keep track, but it just helps me. Like, this is the current update. This is what's in front of me. This is what I did, you know, a week ago or however many days ago. You know, prep clients, a little different. Like, I'm pretty in tune with my prep clients. Like, I'm constantly thinking about their plans. But if I haven't talked to you in 7 days, like, yeah, let me know what I did. What did we add food? Did we pull food? Did we add cardio? Did we add a new supplement? Did we bump gear up? Are we in a fat loss phase? We completely changed gears from what we were doing for the last 5 months. Like,
Right. And to your
help
point
me.
earlier,
Help me help you.
about the cardio too, in your system where they're telling you back these changes, it's like you will know right away if there was a lapse in communication or a miscommunication or something that was missed, because it's like, hold on a second, we made these changes last week and you just told me you're doing the same thing that we were doing prior to this. You're going to know right away that something was amiss. So it's the same thing like you were saying with the cardio. If you're reporting this back to me, I know that you were on top of the changes that we tried to make.
Right. And it, like I said, it just shows me that you're bought into the service you're paying for.
Yeah.
Which again, as a coach, like, we don't need to sugarcoat it. Like, I am more excited about the clients that I can tell are bought into what they're doing. Like, they want this so bad and I want it for them. I want to be a good coach. I want to get their results. You can tell a client who's just like, it's weird. You get people that like hire you that they almost like just want to say they have a coach, but they don't want to actually do the things that the coach tells them or like give their best effort. And I know any coaches listening or watching this can attest to that. Like, you get those clients who are just like, they're content on paying you every month, but they're not actually doing the things necessary to make lifestyle change or to be successful. If we're talking competition, like,
Right.
It takes intentional effort to find success. And I can tell you right now, every coach will say the same thing. Like, you're more excited about your clients who are excited about working the plan. And
yeah, 100%. We say it, I've said it on the show millions of times, and every single one of my clients has heard me say this. I make it a point at the beginning and at any time during the process that I see necessary. I will care just as much as you. I will not care more and I will not care less. So if you care, I don't know, on a scale of 1 to 100, if you care 65%, well, just naturally, I'm kind of only bought into you 65%. People that are all in, I'm all in. And I think that's just life. You get out what you put in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I have getting further into it, I ask, how are energy levels? Anything we ask for on update forms is looking for trends. I'm not looking for like, man, I was really tired one day. Like, that was just a one-off. That's just like a bad day. Things happen. Like,
right.
I could be tired today. I still got to do this podcast with you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But is it trending? Like, hey, for the last week, I have been dog tired. I don't want to train. I don't want to eat. I don't want to do anything.
Right.
All right. Now that's telling me
that's
something.
A problem.
I need to intervene. Maybe we need to deload. Maybe we need to, if we're in a growth phase and we've been hammering food for months, maybe this is telling me like the end is near and we need to switch gears. Maybe I need to inquire more about how's personal life. Is there something going on that's causing this? Are you getting sleep? Are you dealing with something traumatic in your life? Like, is there an exorbitant amount of stress that's happening right now that wasn't before? Like, I need to do my due diligence and dig a little deeper. A lot of things. So when I look for feedback, it's not just like, I was really tired today. Like, okay, was that like a trend for 7 days? And then I'll ask more questions. But how is energy? Most of the time when I get new lifestyle clients, they notice a surge in energy when they start eating, properly, eating 4 to 5 times a day, getting rid of processed foods, getting rid of fast foods. Like, the biggest thing I look for in lifestyle clients is the energy change, because most people normalize feeling like shit. And they just don't know it until they don't feel like shit anymore. And they're like, wow, I feel fucking great. I have all this energy. I'm not tired the morning when I wake up. I'm ready to go to bed by the end of the day, etc. So, and then another piece on my update form is digestion. And that's a very, gut health is a very broad topic. It's a $1 billion industry now. And I remember can't remember who, but like 10 years ago, someone was like, you watch, gut health will be a billion-dollar industry. And like, look at all the things that are
It's probably
sold.
Austin Stout.
Yeah. All the articles that are put out on like how to make your gut health better. Like,
Yeah.
everybody now is like, I remember drinking apple cider vinegar in the morning, like 10 years ago, thinking I like had some hack that nobody else
It was
did.
the
Now it's like,
secret. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
now it's like regular everyday people do that shit. Like everybody knows about apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
So, but same thing with energy, like digestion. Like I don't, because maybe you had a meal that didn't sit right and you had a bowel movement that wasn't normal. Like
Sure.
that's not a trend. I don't, that would be giving way too much information on the update form. If you're typing paragraphs on your update form and it says stuff like that, like, well, the egg whites on Tuesday didn't really sit well with me, but every other day they were fine. I don't need to know about it. That's just a one-off. That's just a bad, whatever. You eat bad chicken, you eat a meal that maybe you left too long and it got a little spoiled, like whatever. But
Right.
is there's a trend like, hey, I've been bloating for 7 days straight. No matter what I do, I'm waking up bloated, I'm going to bed bloated. Okay, now I need to do my work as a coach. It's, like I said, you can go too far and give way too many details, but you can also, the digestion one gets me because it's like, they'll write good on the digestion part of the update form. Great, good, whatever. And then send me a private message on WhatsApp that says, hey, I've been really backed up lately. Like, then digestion isn't good. If you're constipated, if you're having loose diarrhea stool, like if you're not, even a lack of an appetite can be associated with poor digestion to a point. If you're an off-season bodybuilder and you're pushing the food, hey, deal with it, man. You're not going to have a huge appetite. Right. But if you just have no hunger signals, period, that tells me that there's a digestive issue going on. And there could be lifestyle issues that need to be addressed too. So the information that you give, like, it does play a role. Like, hey, I'm waking up bloated X amount of days, or hey, this meal in particular, I'm noticing I'm really bloated. I have gas after. I always have a loose bowel movement immediately after finished meal. Whatever. Right. Details like that. Okay, like that food is a trigger food for you.
Yeah, whatever that meal needs to change.
Yeah. That's feedback that is working with your coach versus not working at all. And so the digestion one is a big one that I think it can be overanalyzed. I've noticed that, like, some people are paralysis by analysis. They're so fixated on their digestion that they almost like will themselves to have poor digestion. I got in this pattern at one point in my career, like where I was like, all I could think about was like, am I bloated? Am I not bloated? Like, how's my stomach feel? Like, yeah. And if you're pushing lots of food, like there is a degree of uncomfortableness that you just have to accept. Typically where you don't see digestive issues is in a fat loss phase or a contest prep.
Right.
You're just going to be hungry. Like that's not diet. And that's okay. This is a good one. Like if you're hungry, that's not a digestion issue. Right. Your digestion is fucking on point. If you're starving, whatever adjective you want to put and to tell me how hungry you are, I don't care. The only point in a contest prep I will care about your hunger is if it disappears, because that tells me like, all right, something is fucked with the prep right now that we need to address. Yeah. But I expect every contest prep client to be hungry based off of their own determination of what hunger is. I do not care. I will not. There's no empathy. There's no deal with it.
If things are firing and you're in a caloric surplus, you will be hungry. You will be signaling for more food. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's right. Like you can give, like, I don't care how many adjectives you use to describe your hunger. I don't care. If you're in a contest prep or a fat loss phase, fucking deal with it. This is the part that you signed up for. This is what you're paying me to do, is to get you less fat or to get you on stage fat free.
Yeah.
I do not care if you are starving or ravenous. That's not
spicy word.
Yeah. You see these like I almost give points for creativity sometimes.
I've
like,
used it. I've absolutely used
Yeah.
Ravenous in an update to John.
Yeah, you're trying to tell me.
I'm like, give me a little food, would you? I'm fucking. I use a really good adjective here.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm like halfway through the things I asked for, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
kick it to you so I can not talk as much for a minute.
Yeah, I mean it's all the same stuff, man. Like I think instead of just sitting here and going through all of them again, I think the value to take from this, or maybe the piece for the audience would be like how it differs, and just in general maybe how the two systems look. I think for yours like where you're kind of looking for a summary, and you're really hoping that the client can pick out these trends on their own and hit you with like a general overlap of the whole week, which is awesome. I mean, like, and that's some high level stuff for people that are able to do that. I am a little bit more of a control freak, and so I have a system in place, and John helped me cultivate this. It's not like I started this from scratch. So um, let's make that clear. But I feel like I have to hold everybody's hand a little bit more, because if I just have felt like there's a lapse in what I need if I just leave it up to the client to give me that high level summary. So now it's like I have this spreadsheet where it's all these objective boxes, and it's day to day. So if we can, it's weight every day, hours slept every day, hydration every day, um, perceived recovery score upon waking every day. How are your pumps? How is your training performance? Blood glucose, blood pressure, all these different things. And because then it's like, hey, just give me all of this without thinking, turn your brain off, give me all of this, and I will make the calls on the week-long summary. Because I've almost seen where people start making their own assumptions and inaccurate judgment calls on the week-long summary. And it's like, well, hold on a second. Like, you paid me to do this. Like, just give me the raw materials and I'll come up with the plan of action. And then, so those are all pretty much just objective boxes across the spreadsheet, where it's just yes or no, or a number, step count. Like, these are all just black and white. And then I have a bigger section where it's more for that subjective feedback, where it's like, and I ask people, and my people will know, I've said to people, I would rather have too much than not enough, because it drives me mad when I have this whole spreadsheet and it's a whole week of data, and I get to the subjective part of it where it's like, that's where I want to know really what's going on. And twice a week you said everything's good. It's like, okay, everything's good. Like, I have nothing to work with, so things are staying in place.
Right.
Now, of course, you do have the people that overshare and abuse it, and it's like 7 days a week there's a full paragraph where I have to double click in the spreadsheet to make it the full page, and it's like, man, like, this is a novel. But again, I think when comparing the two, I would still rather have too much, and then I can start to help the client understand, hey, this part we could leave out until there's a trend to it, but this stuff I need. And like you said, that's where you would put, hey, did you have a fight with your wife? Is work particularly stressful? I mean, even sleep, I have an objective box for that. So I'm gauging all these different things. And that's really it. I mean, I think I just try to pull as much out of people as I can, because it seems like more often than not, like that person that overshares, that's maybe 1 out of 10 for me. And then the people that underreport, it's maybe 5 out of 10. And then it's like, now I'm having to spend time that I could have spent formulating a solution. I'm having to reach back out and say, well, what about this? Well, what about this specific? What about digestion? How is the sleep quality? Are you getting all your meals down? Did you have a free meal? Like, all these different things that you didn't report. Now I'm having to take time out of my day that I could have used to respond to you directly. Now I'm having to fish for more. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's all of that. Just, when a coach lays it out for you, there should be a development in the dynamic where it's like, hey, this is what I'm asking for. And you see the things that I'm mentioning each week when I respond back to you. Hey, man, body weight's trending up. Training performance is good. It seems like sleep and digestion are good. For now, I'm going to hold the diet here and you can hold your working volume here. That should start to click for people a couple of weeks in a row because, and I know that you do this too. We're always giving the rationale as to what I'm looking at and thinking about when I give this check-in response. Like it's never just, hey, made a diet change. See you next week. It's like, hey, your weight stalled. It seems as though you're reporting that you could eat more and training performance continues to go up. So being that we're in a massing phase and we have PEDs in place, I think it's a good time to add food. Now I'm giving you the tools as a client to say, hey, these are all the things that he's looking at when he's making a decision. I should really be paying attention to these 5 or 6 things during the week and reporting on, like you had mentioned, like a big overall summary, like where I don't need to know that you had a loose stool on Tuesday. Like, was it okay the whole week or was it a one-off thing? So yeah, I think just understanding, and I'm sure you see this too. There's a big leap in the client communication when they have started to or have already helped other people as well, because they've sat in our chair and been on the receiving end of lackluster check-ins where they're like pulling their hair out, like, man, I really need to know about X, Y, and Z. And you didn't tell me anything. That person that helps other people already, then they get into the shoes of the client. It seems like that relationship kind of just hits the ground running. And I'm sure you've seen this too. Like those are the most fun relationships for me. Like of course the bodybuilder that's just all in on bodybuilding and he has a job outside of it and it's just, he's all in on it as a hobby. Those guys, gals typically do a really good job of reporting things. But it's the people that also help others that there's this synergy to the relationship because you know what I'm looking for, you know what I need. And so those relationships can be a lot of fun. I will say, and I'm sure you see this too, because we wind up, I feel like we wind up getting people based on what we put out, like people that are cut from a similar cloth kind of gravitate towards you. So, I have some of these guys that are just fucking camp hardcore, like end of the earth, fucking brutal trainers and guys that are just like, dude, I could do more cardio. I could eat less food. Like these guys are awesome to work with because you know that they're all in on bodybuilding, but they tend to be a difficult case, which sounds backwards because you would think they're a high level bodybuilder. They know exactly what to report. But a lot of times these guys just internalize shit and they're just going to put their foot down and nail the plan. And they don't even pick up on some of these things feedback wise, because it's like, this is what it says on the plan. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to report that I did it. And then I'll see you next week. So those guys that are so all in on bodybuilding and so low maintenance, it almost becomes a problem sometimes because it's like, man, I need more from this. Like there's times that I have guys in prep that I know I'm killing these guys to get them in shape. And like week after week, I'm like, hey man, like, are you completely fucking smashed? Like, are you having a difficult time, like just standing up out of your chair to go to the bathroom? And they're like, nope, could do more cardio. And it's like, I have been there myself and I get that. And I respect it. But also it's like, all right, man, like we could put the ego aside for a check-in and you can let me know, like, how smashed are you? Like, is it unbearable to where something needs to change, or is it just an acceptable level of fatigue here in contest prep? So there is a fine line between under and over reporting. And so that's why we did this episode. Like we're trying to kind of fill that gap for anybody that might be listening. What's too much, what's not enough, and what are we really looking for?
Yeah. I think on the topic of training performance, I always tell people that like my niche is training.
Yeah, same.
I feel that I have learned training just through experience and working myself for almost 2 decades and working with countless others.
And again, we've learned under some of the best in the business in that regard. So
yeah, Dusty Hanshaw, you know, there's no better name to learn training from, in my case. So I also ask about training on the update form, like how is strength? You know, how is it? Like, I'm asking you, how is your strength trending? Have you completely stalled across all sessions? Like nothing's getting stronger? Okay, feedback I need to know. Or, you know, tell me about certain movements that are going up. That shows me that you're invested in your plan. You're paying attention to the X's and O's of the details. Like, hey, I added, you know, 45 pounds to my leg press over the last 3 weeks. Like, I'm getting better at this movement. I fucking feed off that shit. I love when I can read an update and I'm like getting excited reading it.
And it's awesome when a client reports something like that with excitement. Like when a client reports like fucking right, added 15 pounds to my RDL and added a rep. And it's like, you read that and you're like, fucking right. Hell yeah. Like it's especially it's exciting.
Clients that are sending training videos, and I encourage all my, you know, not necessarily my lifestyle people unless they want to, but you know, competitors, like I almost demand it. Like, hey, I don't know you. I don't, you know, I know what my standard of training is, and I know what it's taken for me to put on muscle and to get to like the level I'm at. So I know for a fact you could be training harder. And if you send me videos, I can point blank tell you that. And I've got
it bothers me when people don't send them, because that's part of my service. This is not, I don't do anything a la carte at this point. I used to just do diet, or if you want just training or all that. At this point, it's every aspect of the lifestyle is programmed, and I need to see it. Like, you are wasting part of your investment in me, and we are missing, like we as a team are missing out on potential progress because you didn't want to spend $15 and set up a tripod and spend 30 seconds to set up your phone and film it. Now, we've talked ad nauseum, like, you know, that's such a new age thing. And it's,
I was just say, we're sounding, we contradict ourselves a little bit, but at the same time,
I tell every client, spend $20 and get a tripod, because this is your life. Like, fuck whatever anyone else has to say or think in the gym. Like, you're all in on bodybuilding and you're investing this much monthly into a coach and food and gear and your gym membership and all this other shit. Like, you're an idiot if you aren't filming and sending into a coach who's actively asking and giving you these parameters. Hey, send me 4 videos every check-in. Send me 8 videos every check-in. You're just missing out on getting better. Like we've talked about it before, in every other sport, they go back and watch game film, practice film until they're fucking blue in the face. So in this game, where training is the match that lights everything, you're a fool if you're not analyzing your training or having your coach analyze your training.
No, I agree. And I have made countless people better through online coaching only, not personal training, because I do also personal train. I've made their training better by the feedback I've given and by saying, like, hey, you quit when the set started. Like, you're training like a bitch. Like, I have no fucking filter. Like, I will straight up tell you, like, hey, was that a warm-up set? Like, why are you sending me this? You just wasted 45 seconds of my time to watch this bullshit. That's not training. That's not putting on muscle. And I think when people, you know, I've never truly offended anyone with that type of language, because there's almost like an appreciation, like, wow, this guy isn't just gonna pacify me and let me be a pussy.
Well, it'd be easy for us to just collect their money every month and say, nope, everything looks good. Keep doing it. Keep doing the same thing. Exactly.
You know, it's not uncommon for me to send a fucking novel back to one training video or a voice memo that's 2 minutes, just so I can like articulate better. Like, I want your training to improve because I know how important training is.
Well, that, and on the flip side of it, like for the people that do send it and the people that do take the feedback and the criticism, truthfully, for me, I feel like there might not be anything more fulfilling and rewarding than working week after week on, let's say, one particular movement with a client. And then that week comes where they finally fucking nail it and they bring the set to the end of the earth with perfect form. that's super exciting for everybody involved, because now I know that progress with your physique is inevitable, because it all starts with the training.
Yeah. I often tell people, like, there will come a point where I may tell you, like, hey, unless you want to send me a training video because you're proud of it, I don't need to see it anymore.
Yeah.
I've signed you off. Like,
you graduated. Congratulations.
You know what intensity is. You know
Yeah.
how to bring it every fucking session, no matter how you're feeling, no matter what's going on in life, no matter if you're in prep, you're in off season, whatever. Your training is standardized. You know what's expected of you, and you now have an expectation of yourself. You know what's working. That's like, yeah, like you said, it's a graduation. I remember Dusty telling me that, like, I didn't have to send him videos anymore. And I still have the screenshots of the fucking novels he sent me back that was like, basically telling me you're leaving a rep in the tank on every fucking body part. And I look back at, like, what kind of physique was I then? I was like 220 in the off season. The difference for me to go up to the next, add 10 more pounds, to add 20 more pounds, was my training had to improve. It wasn't the amount of food I was eating. It wasn't the gear I was blasting. All that shit was the same. I was pushing more calories as a 220 pounder than I am now at 250.
Yeah.
It's just, everything has gotten much more efficient over the years. And because my standards for what I know needs to happen have elevated, and that's because of the people that push me there. So I try to do that for my clients as well. If I ask you about your pumps, like, is it good? Is it disappearing midway through the workout? That tells me something about training volume. That tells me something about food. That tells me maybe
we need intra-carbs. Like,
yeah, I'm not going to blast you with, like, I take pre-workout. I like it. I don't, stims are a choice. You don't have to have pre-workout with stimulants.
Right.
But I do believe in citrulline malate. I do believe in taurine, agmatine, all these different ingredients that help with your pump. Fucking sodium, salt. Like, there's a reason I tell my clients to, I give them instructions on how to salt their meals. I want to, usually a quarter teaspoon to a half teaspoon per meal. That fucking matters, especially when we're talking about contest prep. Sodium is huge.
Yeah.
And add a few pinches of salt to your fucking intra drink, even if it's just water, and tell me you don't notice a change in your blood volume in the muscle you're training on that given day. You will. Sodium is pivotal. So if you're not getting good pumps, my first question that I always ask is, like, are you salting your meals?
Yeah.
Are you doing what I told you to do in the fucking email that I sent you when you started with me? Like, that it always comes back to basics. And it's not like, I would love to call someone out and be like, no, motherfucker, I am doing that. Okay. Now I have to put my hat on and work more.
Right. I need another solution. Yeah.
But I'm always going to deviate to that, because I'm in this shit too. I'm in the trenches. I know how fucking, I've sat down with a meal before and be like, shit, I didn't put salt on this. Get up, grab the fucking, and I measure my shit, fucking scoop a quarter teaspoon out and put it on. Those little fucking details matter. Remember, you're, like you said, you're paying a good amount of money per month to hire a coach and to have him tell you what to do. Why not fucking do everything they tell you what to do?
Right. Yeah.
The quality of your pumps tells me a lot about your training. If pumps are completely disappearing, maybe that's time for, maybe deload is in the future now.
Yeah, depending on the phase, for sure. I mean, if you're deep in contest prep, like, that probably means a little bit less. But if you're full blown of food, like, you should feel saturated all the time. Like, if you're in the off season and you're actively pushing, especially PEDs are in, you should feel like fucking Superman in the gym when you have a pump.
I laugh when people say they feel flat in their off season. I'm like, how? I've never been flat an hour of my life in the off season. Like, there's no point of like, I just don't feel it. Like, maybe when I was sick, I was like, I didn't eat, I missed meal.
You're underhydrated. Yeah.
Other than that, dude, like, I wish I could take my gym look and feeling of my life to, like, every day. Like, that's fucking super.
Oh yeah, dude. If I could walk around the grocery store with that fucking upper shelf push day pump, dude, I would walk around shirtless. I wouldn't wear a shirt in the grocery store. I'd let everyone look at me like I was a fucking maniac. But I think one, so we've gone over, like, the check-in process and how we both do it. I think, and without, I think if we do this constructively, it'll be valuable. And it also may be a little fun to poke fun at some of them. But I think it would be good for us to talk through some of the things that we want to see less of, or maybe some pet peeves or some of those things. Because I think it's pretty obvious to anybody that listens to the show, and obviously anybody that's worked with us. You and I are not afraid to tell it how it is and just be completely blunt to everybody's face. But also you want to have like a certain level of like respect and sympathy to your clients. And so sometimes, those conversations are not easy. And especially when it's certain things like, where people are they just think that they're doing the right thing, but really it secretly gets on our nerves. So I think that might be a fun little segment to go through. So I'm just throwing this at you off the cuff. So I don't know if you have any prepared, but I think it might be interesting to just hear from two full-time coaches. What are some things, because we've talked about the things that we do want to see and how to be, efficient in your check-in process, but also what are some things that you would like to see less of as a coach from your clients?
I would say the biggest one has to do with the nutrition portion. Don't give me a big, paragraph of why you missed meals or why you cheated on the plan. I don't care. I'm not your teacher. I'm not here to scold you.
Right.
I'm going to always redirect. Like if you ever complain about your rate of progress or anything to do with your connection to me, I will use that as a way to redirect you. Be like, hey, well, look how many updates you're sending me where you're telling me you're cheating on the plan or you're missing meals. I don't think people realize that missing meals is a huge fucking deviation, especially when we're talking putting on muscle.
Because it's a drop, it's an immediate halt to any momentum that you have created. And this whole thing is about momentum.
Right. You grow in waves, and I've experienced it. You've experienced it. Like I can pinpoint seasons of years in my career that like, hey, from that month to that month, I was fucking on, man. My training, my nutrition, my sleep, my fucking gear, every single aspect of bodybuilding was perfect. Yeah. And I could pinpoint years in my life where like, dude, my life was a fucking train wreck during that time. My bodybuilding sucked. I still went to the gym because I don't miss training sessions, but other than that, like it is a wash.
Yeah.
And the more time invested you have in the game, you'll be able to, any newer people listening, you'll be able to identify that. You'll be able to say like, yeah, summer of fucking 2021, I was on. I didn't miss a fucking beat. And you'll be able to equate, like, look at all that progress I made during that time. So that tells you that like the basics are king. So I don't need a paragraph of telling me why you missed the meals, what happened. Like just say, hey, this is what happened. This is what I'm doing to correct it. Done. End of fucking typing. I don't care, because you start to see patterns where it's like the same client has crazy shit happening to them every week that cause them to miss meals. And like, again, because I'm in the trenches and I'm leading from the front and I do this too. And I know I have to eat a lot more food than a lot of my clients that I'm putting, like I see their plans. I know what they're eating and I know what I'm eating. If I'm finding a way to get my meals in, you lose me on empathy. Like if there's an earthquake, okay, I get it. Fuck, you missed a meal. Life happens. Crazy death in the family. Crazy shit happens. But if it's just like, yeah, I missed this meal on Tuesday because blah, 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 blah. I don't care. You lost me. I missed this meal.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just hear you say, this is where I fucked up. This is the plan I've put into play in my head to address it, because that's my job as a client to the coach, is to figure out how to, we give the plan. We give you a plan. It's your job as a client to work the plan. I don't know your daily. I don't know what your 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. looks like. I don't know all the intricacies of your day. I might know your job and your schedule, and I may have based that on how I build meals. I know if you work nights or work days, etc. But I don't know what kind of shit's coming up for you. Like, my coach doesn't know that I eat 10 to 12 meals a week in my fucking car driving with my knee. He doesn't give a shit.
Right.
The job is to do what the coach tells you. Make the plan work for you somehow, some way. And
yeah, that's a great point.
you can't inspire the desire to want to make it happen. You know, I have a client who he doesn't miss. I know for a fact he doesn't miss because I see it in his check-ins, and I can just see it in how he carries himself. Like, you can tell a lot about people by the way they carry themselves. And like, he carries a confidence that like, the dude doesn't miss a meal. And if he did, he would feel so guilty about it that he would fucking tell me.
Mhm.
So that you see that in people. Perfect example, like there was a show that his dad was in June. His dad was competing. He got up at 2:30 a.m., trained legs, and then had all of his food in a cooler with him. And I saw him at the show because I had a client in the show. And he walked past me and just said, whatever it takes. And he showed me his cooler. And I was like, he didn't email me and ask me like, hey, what do I do about this day? He just knew, I'm not going to give you a pass on getting your meals in that day because your dad's competing. You got to get up early to like be your dad's right-hand man for,
Yeah.
you
You gotta
goes,
you gotta be his
like,
gopher. Yeah.
the job still has to get done. The
Yeah.
job isn't finished. Like Kobe Bryant said, like, those are the fucking days you remember for your own personal bodybuilding. Is like, you know what? I could have easily just said, fuck it. I'm not going to get my food prepared.
Sure.
I'm just going to like, and I see it. I see it. I always carry a cooler. Every pro qualifier, every pro show, every fucking show I've attended, I've had a cooler with me. And I see people in our industry who don't. And I'm like,
we probably know more people that don't than do.
And it's not people that are retired and don't have to do that anymore. It's active motherfucking competitors that I see doing that. Coaches that I see doing that. I'm like, you call yourself a fucking leader and you're eating whatever's available to you on this day because you're at the show. Like, I go support my clients sometimes at their shows. I still have a plan to work.
Absolutely.
So that was a long-winded. I don't want excuses. I just want to know. I want you to own fucking up, and I want you to give me a solution that you've made to how it's not going to happen again. Because that's truly how we get better in life. Is like, hey, I'm fucking up. I need to address that, and this is what I'm going to do to address it. Point blank. End of story. I don't even need to respond to it. I can just see that you're taking the initiative.
Yeah, mine's a funny one, and I think everybody that has helped other people in this game has had people that do this, and it's a funny one. So, and this might sound a little bit ranty, and I don't mean this to put anybody on blast. There's no one person in particular that I have in mind. I just onboarded a bunch of new people in the last couple of weeks. A handful of them did this, and it's all good. But it's just so funny to me. So like you and it's usually when you onboard somebody new, but sometimes established clients do it. It's always when you tell somebody that they got to go get blood work and they send you a play-by-play update of every step of the process on WhatsApp, on email, sometimes, and I try not to use this for communication with my clients, but they'll send you on Instagram too. And like, I try to stay away from using it for Instagram unless it's something lighthearted, because like, I don't want to dread opening my Instagram every time. But man, it's so funny. It'll be like, hey coach, just checked out the Life Extension website. Going to be ordering this tonight. Hey coach, just want to let you know, just pulled up the LabCorp website. Just set my appointment for next week. Next week comes around. Hey coach, just want to let you know, I'm hydrated. I'm on my way to LabCorp. Hey coach, just want to let you know, the fucking needle is in my arm as we speak. They're pulling the blood. Hey coach, just got an email. Results should be in next week. Motherfucker, just tell me when the results are in. I don't need to know every step of the fucking process. Like, it's unbelievable to me why for some reason, like specifically about blood work, people feel the need to do this. Like, hey coach, just put my fucking socks on. Today's leg day. I'm going to put my boxers on next, then probably some shorts, then maybe a shirt, then I'm going to go train. Like, I don't need to fucking know this. I don't need to know it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny to me. Like, or are you going to tell me when you go grocery shopping? No, like just tell me what the fucking end result is. Is the blood work in or not? When it's in, I'll take a look at it. And it comes back to my buddy Gary Turner has this saying about all this stuff on social media and people posting and communicating with their coach, all these little things. It's like you don't get any extra credit. You don't get a pat on the back for doing these things that are the bare minimum. Like, hey, coach, just want to let you know I finished my cardio today. Congratulations, motherfucker. You got 4 more sessions until we check in. I don't need to know this.
I think, that whole social media thing is its own elephant. It's toxic positivity.
It's delusional positivity.
A client to, I'm not saying you can never tag your coach, and I never ask for tags and I never shun them.
Right.
But at the same time, like if I get the same tag from the same client who's on the treadmill and they need to tag me 7 days a week, what does that say about me if I share that every fucking time? Am I just trying to like blast out to other people that like, hey, I got this client that pays me
right
to tell them to do the treadmill, and now the next step is they're telling me
the
through
world
social media that they're doing it, and now I'm going to tell you that I'm telling them. Like, it's just unnecessary. Like,
yeah, I always felt like there's something more going on. If it's a new plan or maybe a movement that you've been working on with the client and they finally fucking nailed it and they're like proud of it, I'm good with it.
Context is
king. Context is king. But man, when it's just, and we see these coaches, and I think part of the psychology for the coach to continue to reshare that same fucking boomerang of somebody's feet on the treadmill, it is like, hey, I have this many clients. I have so many clients. I'm inundated with all these tags and all these posts. But I also wonder what the psychology is of that client. And again, context is king. I'm not talking about here and there or specific movements or you make a diet change and you tell somebody to eat something specific and maybe they tag in it the first time they go get it, whatever the case is. All that's fine. But the person that continuously tags their coach in their feet on a cardio machine every day, man, that almost strikes me as like, the person that has to tell you, oh, I'm honest. I'm an honest person. I'm honestly telling you the truth. Like, there's something going on and you're fucking lying. Like, there's something else going on behind the scenes when I see that. Like, that's the person that is cheating on their diet, guilt. And then they go do extra cardio to make up for it or whatever the case is. So yeah, that's a good one too. What else you got? There's got to be more.
I mean, that's a big one, is the social media. Like, I might acknowledge it privately. Like, if you tag me, right. I won't always share it.
Yeah.
But I might not too. I might just, whatever, you can tag. Like, I don't require tags. Like, I actually know of coaches who do, as part of their onboarding process, like they tell people how to go about social media with them, like how to tag them and to tag them. And you will never fucking catch me doing that. I don't even share like, I assume you've seen me on Instagram if you're hiring me at this point in my coaching career, but I don't care. I don't even care if you follow me. I will follow you back if you're my fucking client. You're paying, like, I will follow you. It's not that I'm like elitist mentality, but at the same time, like, you paid me to give you a plan. I don't need to share that. You also, like, you don't owe me anything. Like, you're paying me. You don't owe me that exposure. If you want to, or you're excited about starting something, I get that. I understand the psychology of some people, like, especially like, I'm a lot of people's first coach. I've noticed, like, a lot of people have told me, like, you're the first coach I've hired. And that I take that as like, there's pride in that. Like, I want to give this person a good experience because
you want to set the standard for
them. Know what it's like to have bad coaching experiences. And we can make a whole episode of other people's horror stories with working shit we know. Maybe I just manifested that. But at the same time, like, keep in mind that, like, the progress and the process is between you and the coach. It's not on social media. Like, you don't have to have an Instagram to work with me. You don't it doesn't have to happen.
So I'm going to jump in because I might put you on, and anyone that's listening that helps people might put you on a little game here. So it's not a requirement or whatever the case is, but and it sounds strange, but I have had people that hire me that haven't followed me on Instagram, which is like, holy shit, this is just like the ultimate trust fall. Like,
Yeah.
one Zoom call, I'm fucking in. I don't need to see anything else. My ego wants me to think that I just am that good of a salesman, but I don't know that that's the case. But in that scenario, I will actively go out and say, or search to follow that person, or tell them, hey man, here's my Instagram, follow me. And that's not for clout that I have followers or whatever the case is. I use the close friends group as only clients, so that when I need to mass communicate to something, like the past couple of days, time and again, just so to make sure that everybody has seen it, I've put out a message to only close friends on story, where it's like, if you are not in contest prep, you have the option to replace a meal with an untracked Thanksgiving dinner plus dessert. Don't eat like an asshole, but be a normal person for a meal. It's okay. Like, instead of having to say that to 40, 50, 60 people over the course of a week. You just send it out once, you see who saw it, and it's like a very easy way to get to everybody. Going back to another point that you made, if we were to go bring that up, if we could rewind to when we had Dusty Hanshaw on, and you brought up the idea that coaches have a specific outline and tell people, hey, this is how I want to be leveraged on social media, I think Dusty would probably say that was a great idea, because I just heard you say that, and I haven't personally heard of that, but a light just went on to me, and I'm like, hey, that's not a bad idea, because then you can kind of tell people a tasteful way to do it. We are discussing right now how we have a beef with how tacky people are with the way that they tag their coach and what they tag them for and all these different things. But there's no doubt that when you see a coach that day after day reshares 15 people, you're like, whoa, this guy's got a lot of clients. Like, they're like, this guy's in high demand. So if there was a way to outline how to do it tastefully, I think there might be something there. So over the course of the next week, if all of a sudden you start seeing 20 reshares of all my clients, you know why.
Yeah. I'll fucking, I see what you're doing. I'll extend it further. Like, I want fucking PR training videos.
Yeah, I want the real shit.
I want lifetime best, and I'm not
that, or I want my guys that are eating 400 grams of rice cooked in a meal. Fucking share it up, dude. That's a big boy meal.
That's why, like, I shared a meal the other day on my story, and
you put that up, bro. I know how you are, and that caught me off guard that you did it, and not that it was a bad thing. I'm glad that you did, because you put that up and it was fucking 500 grams of cooked rice. And like, I know what you eat. Like, we talk about it all the time. Like, I know you pound a ton of food, but like, I think that's good for people to see, because like we talked about on a previous episode, like, I got guys on 3,300 calories that are eating 280 grams of rice at a meal. And they're like, man, I just don't know if I can do it. And it's like, motherfucker, Tommy's putting down 500 grams at a clip. Like, this is a warm up. Like, Tommy gets through 280 and has another meal to go, basically. Like, so I think it's good. Like you said, like you use the phrase, and basically my colleague Luke Miller, who's also under J3U with John, he has this phrase like lead from the front, and I love it. I love that phrase, and it's I've talked about it on a post recently where somebody asked me, like, do you think people that have never been in shape or gotten on stage can coach people that want to compete? And I said, absolutely fucking not. You would never see me hiring somebody that hasn't walked the walk. I think there's a lot to be said for walking the walk and leading from the front, like you and Luke have said. So I think that is just another example. Like, yeah, man, like, can you look at social media and be like, this is vain, this is tacky, whatever. You could. Everyone can look at every post and dissect it. But I think those are examples, like, when it's just meant as, hey, this is how it really is. Like, this is what it looks like to really live this. I think there's a value in that.
Yeah. And that was the purpose. Like, I'm not going to be the guy that posts my every meal of every day. Like, that's that's overkill. But
Yeah.
like, it was more just to show like, hey, I'm eating tubs of food. Like this
Yeah.
fucking trough in front of me has to get
Yeah.
finished. And I don't
Yeah.
want this meal. Like it was more to show like mindset more than anything is like, hey, like I can afford nice plates. I can afford like I still have the same shitty Rubbermaid containers. Some of them are stained with pasta sauce because I've eaten a lot of pasta in my bodybuilding days. Like I don't care. I every
Tommy,
now and then I'll
love
put-
yourself, buddy. Get yourself some new
No,
containers. Go
fuck
get
that.
yourself some fucking glass, would you?
No, it's I know Evan Sendapani would fucking kill me
Christ,
with the
dude.
plastic I use, but I don't use a microwave. I'll the only thing I
Okay, fair
microwave
enough.
is my grits. But
All right.
it was just to show that like there's no glamour in this, man. Bodybuilding
Yeah.
is so unsexy. And
Yeah.
I guess that could be a pet peeve of mine is like there's no glamour in the off season. There's no glamour in putting on muscle, man. Like
Yeah.
I haven't really liked my check-in pics for years.
2 years.
Yeah, like there's nothing exciting happening. I mean, when I do side by sides, I can see progression, I can see change,
Sure.
but it's just not. There's nothing exciting about it. The foods are the same, the fucking process is the same, the days are the same. It's it's just you have to be hungry for that progress, and that's what I like. Yeah, I think I had a client complain about food amount or something, or like not being hungry, and I was like, "Look, dude, I haven't been hungry since 2017, man. Like this is how it goes if you want to be a freak." And to your point about, yeah, I definitely like I always use the analogy of like a mechanic. Do I want a mechanic to work on my car who's worked on cars for 20 years? Or do I want a mechanic who's read every fucking book about working on cars, but has done very little actual work on the cars?
Yep.
I'm going with the 20-year man, dude. Like,
no question.
Experience is king. I do think you should get knowledge, and I think some certifications are very applicable to what we
Can't
do.
hurt.
But at the same time, like, I bought J3U. I worked with Jason Theopold as a prep mentorship program, but none of that shit matters unless I learn how to apply it and get results with people. Exactly. J3U is a great fucking tool. I wish it was around 8 years ago when I was getting into bodybuilding as a competitor.
Fuck yeah.
But at the same time, and you can probably attest to this more than me, like how many people are buying it but not actually learning it in a way they're going to use it for application to help others?
Oh, tons.
It's like FOMO.
I mean, I think there's been like something like, man, I could definitely quote this wrong, but I believe there's been something like 500 people that have bought that, and not, to pat myself on the back, but okay, there's 500 people that have bought that. Some of them have huge followings, IFBB Pro, top prep coach, all these different things. And John picked 2 of us to work for him. So it's like, you have to know how to apply things. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Like, I
remember John making a post too about, I think he had like a 400 plus gram rice meal, and something in the caption I remember was just like, there comes a time when the rubber has to meet the road. Like all the shit you say does not matter. All the education you have does not matter unless you are like, unless fork is going to mouth and you're doing the things necessary to put on muscle tissue. None of that shit fucking matters. I know how to put muscle on myself. I know how to put muscle on people.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I'm not eating the food.
Right.
Like you can't make it up. You can't I mean, I guess.
Yeah, you can't fake the process. The process always knows.
That leads me to a separate tangent, which I know you've been on one about, is Photoshop.
Oh, fuck me, dude. Hold on a second. Before we get into anything, it should be a no fucking brainer. Unspoken, everyone knows this. You do not edit your fucking check-in pictures. And that means saturation, color. Yeah. I've had to check clients and be like, is this fucking edited? And they were like, well, it was a little dark this morning, so I turned up the fucking radiance or whatever these terms are. And I'm like, hold on a second. You are paying me to assess your physique and make decisions based on how you look, and you're adjusting and editing the photos. What fucking planet are you from? And apparently that happens. So
Yeah.
The Photoshop thing and all the goob shit is separate than that. Like that's a game that these kids are trying to play online, and it seemingly works because they all have 30,000 followers, and you and I are fucking fighting tooth and nail to break
Scratch.
5,000. So, yeah, I think we should just fucking save that, dude. Honestly, because
yeah,
I
yeah.
will. My blood pressure is elevated enough as it is. I can see my ears are starting to get red, so that means that
Yeah.
it might be time for us to wrap this one up, and we'll address that another time.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be its own episode.
Madness, though, dude. We may need to vent that out after we end the recording. Honestly,
It's something that like I didn't even know was a thing. Like I didn't even
me
think
neither.
that someone would think to like edit their shit to send me. You know what I mean? Like I've had the same system of sending my photos to coaches for almost a decade that I've never like I don't even take the time to look at them myself. Like it's usually like fuck oh.
No, I take the screenshot of a video and send it off exactly
Yeah.
as it is. I don't size it. I don't crop it. I don't do any of this shit as is. If it's a little too zoomed, if it's a little too far out, here it is as raw as it is. I'm paying you to figure it the fuck out.
Yeah. I know we're close on time, but like
Yeah.
I will say a pet peeve I have, and like something I'd like to see improved across the board for all coaches is like the quality of your check-in photos.
Oh, for fuck's sake, dude. This is another one. Or
I
even
give
just
up.
like the sizing and the scaling of like
I send an
comparison
email
photos.
detailing how I want the photos. Like
Yeah, I have it outlined too.
this is a fucking ring light.
I was
Buy
gonna
one.
ask you how you use it. Okay. All right.
Buy a fucking ring light to take your check-in photos. Unless you're blessed with it. Like I've lived in a lot of different places to take photos. My lighting where I live now is shit. I live in a dungeon with no fucking windows.
But also the natural light, like the natural light, especially when you're starting to get near contest shape, I think they look the best, but they're also wildly consistent. So
yeah, if you have the option to get natural light, do so. And I live in Arizona. I've had some great natural light spots. I lived in a hotel for 2 months that like I opened my door, boom, check-in pictures right there. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I would live in that hotel simply for those pictures just for the rest of my life. But it's not where I live now isn't feasible. And there are other people who get up at fucking 4 a.m. who there's no natural light at that time, especially East Coast people, whatever. Buy a ring light.
Dude, I have guys over in fucking Norway right now, and it's dark 24/7. It's wild.
Invest.
He started sending me these overhead lighting shots just within the last 2 weeks. Like it had been natural the whole prep, and then all of a sudden they started coming in overhead, and I was like, "Hey man, why did you change the light?" He goes, "I didn't. It's dark all day here." It's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's you're spending hundreds a month on your coach, and you won't spend 30 to 50 bucks on a ring light or some. I got LED strip lights going around the room I'm in right now. Lyric and I picked up I have to remember the name of it.
Good backdrop.
Yeah, we had a visor. I've sent you my pictures. You see the backdrop I have. Like, invest in your process. Like,
bro, even like on a budget, there's so many ways to do this. Like one, in my place, I just have a room that has a overhead light. I cover up all the windows, like with blinds or whatever the case is. And then I bought a $6 black sheet on Amazon. I bought some thumbtacks and fucking tacked up a black backdrop for me. It's like couldn't be easier. So
it doesn't have to be professional level photo shoot. I'm not asking for that, but your check-in spot should be consistent. Unless you're out of town for that check-in, which I commend you for still doing the check-in. There's no excuses. The lighting should be consistent, meaning you're not the time of year, daylight savings, that's not going to dictate the quality of your pictures. You have a system that is standardized. Your whole body should be in the picture. If you want to crop out your face, like I know people have morning face, they don't want their coach to see. I could give up.
That's always funny. I always took pride in how rugged my face looked. I'm like, man, my face is so pulled down. Maybe he's going to give me some extra food today.
I'm no face model. Like I'm not like if I got 20 days of fucking not shaving on my face or I'm clean shaven. I don't give a shit. You can see me.
No, I do get that though, but it should just be head to toe.
Yeah, because there may be posing critiques to make in regards to your feet. Like, hey, your feet are too wide. Bring them in 6 inches. If I can't see your feet, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want to see mid shin to fucking throat. I want to see the whole physique. That means the camera needs to be hip level, about 7 feet away from you, probably, to get your whole frame in the screen.
Just take a look at it. Like when you set your phone up, and you
same thing with training videos too.
Get in the video, it's like, okay, where, like if you have to put something down, like I put like a little fucking sponge down or something that serves as like where the red ring is, right? And then I use that as dead center. And or like, you know, even as something simple as, like you said, just creating a standard. I have this spare bedroom at the place where I do my photos, and I have a separate tripod that I have left and not touched in 3 months. It has not moved.
Yeah. I have tape on the ground in my home. Like there's tape.
I've seen people do this. Yeah.
Like, you know,
that's a good idea. Maybe I'll kick the sponge out of the room and
if
put
you've ever
the
sponge is funny. You should keep it. If you should actually fucking
brand it.
And monetize
I should
it.
brand a fucking sponge. You're right.
And if you've ever worked with Kenny Wallach for posing, he makes you tape the ground for future posing FaceTimes with him.
Smart.
So again, this is what you're signing up to do. You have to, you said it earlier, like embody this shit. Take your meals with you wherever you go. Don't be afraid to carry a fucking cooler.
No, you should take pride in it. Like this is what I'm about this all the time.
This is what you're doing. You're paying up, you know, like Skip Hill said, like you're paying a lot of money. I pay a coach a lot of money. You pay a coach. Like this shit is an investment.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Not to do those things and like to do all these little things we're talking about, like your photos dictate a lot of the process.
It is. It's a huge part of it.
Along with how you fill out the update form, which was what we went over this whole podcast. Like, so, you know, I hope people can take from this, like we're trying to give you the tools to be better clients, to make your coaches better.
To make your investment more valuable to you.
Give you the self-awareness. So like if you're doing these things and your coach, you feel that he or she is not meeting your standards, like if they don't have an answer for you when you ask them what are their expectations of being a coach to you, maybe that's a sign to move on. There's no fucking points for being loyal to a situation.
Man, that's a whole nother episode, dude.
It doesn't serve you. Yeah, blind loyalty is stupid. You're an idiot. You're wasting money every month to say on Instagram that,
and you're wasting time.
Yeah,
you're wasting time.
Fuck yeah, dude. Time is our biggest currency, and to waste months and years of a process, to waste preps, to put your body through that stress, when you know, I see this countless times of people who the relationship it's dead. It's over. The coaching client relationship is long past, and the client's just still sucking off the tit of the coach because they're afraid to move on.
Yeah.
I never take it personal of a client.
Huge flaw.
Like, you know, I've had clients that are friends that, you know, I worked with them for years, and they go to a different coach who I know. Right. And I'm not like butthurt about it. Like it's a bit, I can put myself in their shoes. Like they made a business decision.
Yeah.
They made a move that was best for them.
When I've done that, it was never like, oh, fuck this guy, I'm malicious. So knowing that, it's like, okay, you know, you wanted to learn from somebody else, no worries. But we got to get rolling.
Yeah.
So that's a wrap. Episode 32 for Tommy Stiles. I'm Joseph PIRCHER. This was a Thinking Man's podcast, and we are out. A Thinking Man's podcast.